What's up, everyone? If you don't know me, my name is Denzel Mensah. I'm an ENFJ 9-1 social sexual. I'm a personal development, life, and relationship coach. And today, I'm going to be giving you my personal opinion and take on how you can know that someone is the one. Let's get it. All right, so this is a conversation, a topic, a question that has been explored for probably as long as time, or as long as pretty much, even I was going to say humans, but probably animals wonder the same thing. I don't know. We're not going to go that far into the philosophical realm because I'm here to mainly give you questions, but to just dip a little bit into the philosophy of it all, I feel like it could also come down to semantics. Like, what do I even mean by the one? Because there is the idea that, well, the one is whoever you ended up with, right? Because that means that they were the one who you were going to end up with all along. But then there's some people who might believe, like, well, yeah, that's the person who I ended up with. They were the one I ended up with, but they were probably not the one that I actually was supposed to be with. And then there's just a whole bunch of other ideologies and stuff from there. So my answer to these questions is pretty much going to be focusing on how you can know that the person that you have is probably the best person for you. And my short answer to that is pretty much the idea that there is no the one. My personal opinion is that we as human beings are compatible with many different people. One could say that you have soulmates or essentially somebody that you could be romantically with spread all over the world. I have a friend of mine who literally thinks that, oh yeah, one of my soulmates is in California with me, but then another one of my soulmates is probably out in Paris. She doesn't know who exactly that person might be, but she just feels that, yeah, if I went to Paris, then I could have probably found someone there who would also have just given me a whole different type of life I could have fallen in love with, etc. So at the end of the day, there's like different soulmates of hers around the world that she could interface with and probably have a whole different life with. And that could be very stressful for a lot of people, to think of like, oh no, what if I made the wrong decision? So I'm here to bring some clarity with that too, because even with that, all of this is just theory. But what can you do with this kind of thing when it comes to actually making a decision on who your life partner should be? So like I said, I think that the main thing is, instead of just focusing on finding the one, it's about becoming the one. You know, I feel like the more that we work on and improve ourselves, the more compatible that we become with other people. Now, that doesn't mean that whoever that we can work out with is the best for us. So we still need to have some sort of standard. Just because I might work out with this person does not mean that I should be with that person just because I've worked on myself enough, and even probably they've worked on themselves enough. We could probably be compatible to an extent, but there's probably a better, more compatible partner out there for me, just like there might be for that other person as well. And so that's where, yes, you work on yourself to become the most compatible type of person that you can be, the best version of yourself, if you will. But then what I think that most people should probably do, and once again, it's just my opinion, is that you should have not only standards, but certain attributes that you're looking for. So to kind of make this personal, I know for me, and this is going to sound a little bit corny, so bear with me, but when I was back in high school and everything, then I remember that I had always had this like kind of marriage mindset. I've always was pretty much on the search for, okay, who is going to be the partner that I'm not just going to be with right now, but I'm going to have the whole rest of my life with. So I wasn't really the type of guy, and this is no offense to the guys who just kind of are like, oh yeah, I'm young, I just want to like play around and all of that. I think that there's actually room for that too. And there's pros and cons to both sides. And maybe that can go into a different video. But for me, I was not really the type that was like, oh yeah, let me just like, play around and like, oh, I don't really know where this relationship might go, but we can see. I was more like, I'm not going to be in a relationship with this person romantically unless if I believe that they have very strong potential to be somebody that I can marry. And of course, when you have that kind of mindset, you'll run into people who maybe aren't thinking as seriously, especially when you're in high school, but they're not thinking as seriously as you are about the relationship. They're more about having fun. They're still learning about who they are, just as I was also doing the same. And they are more trying to continue to explore what they're looking for. So for that reason, I had a list of attributes that I had eventually written out. And this list composed of not stuff like,
oh yeah, she need to have big titties and she gotta be light skinned,
stuff like that, but rather it was more of attributes along the lines of like, okay, well, I think I would actually prefer someone who is, maybe reserved, someone who is a deep thinker, someone who knows how to laugh and have fun and joke around, but they also don't mind having like deep philosophical conversations. Someone who I had a whole list of certain things like that. I had quiet but like outspoken, whatever it might be. And so after I had that list written out, then essentially I did not allow myself to be romantically interested in or date anyone who did not have at least 90% of the attributes on there. Those are kind of my deal breakers. And the reason why that's important is because if you don't have somewhere to stand on, then you're kind of just going to fall for anything. And so then you end up dating anyone who looks good or anyone who appeals to you in a certain type of way. And when things start to go left, because they always go left at some point, then you don't have something to stand on anymore. And that's actually the biggest reason why most relationships die. Now, the divorce rate has been said to be about 40 to 50%, and then even greater when it's a second divorce. And I don't know how accurate those percentages are right now. When I looked it up just about 2 weeks ago, at least from Google, it still said 40 to 50%. There might be some varying degrees, but either way, that's still pretty alarming. And the leading cause of that is due to lack of commitment. Now, what I believe commitment really is pretty much having the mindset to stick through whatever it is that you two are going through. Of course, once again, there has to be standards. If that man is beating you abusively, if that man is, threatening you in certain types of ways, shoot, if that woman is beating you, whatever it might be, maybe this is not someone you should be committed to. And you should probably have enough standards to be like, hey, I love this person even still, but I gotta bounce. You know what I'm saying? But if you guys have an actually great foundation, if this person actually meets those attributes on your list, like, hey, as long as the person has at least 90% of these attributes, these non-deal breakers kind of thing, or like these non-deal breakers, then I'm going to work my hardest to make sure that whatever that we go through, we can work through this together. And if you have commitment on your side and the other partner has commitment on their side, there's kind of no way that you guys will be able to break apart, because what doesn't kill y'all actually does make y'all stronger. And then because that continues to build your bond, then even if there's another soulmate out there in Paris, because you two have been growing so strongly together and you've committed to each other, then even if you were to meet that other soulmate in Paris or whoever it might be, then by this point, you and the partner that you have now have such a far distance ahead of any of the other soulmates that it doesn't even make sense to like think like, oh, I could have been with that person or whatever, because you're happy with where you are now and you can't even imagine life without this partner. Sure, one could probably imagine like, oh, well, if you had gotten with the soulmate in Paris, you could have done the same thing and it would have been a whole different life. And possibly. But at that point, it's kind of hard to really think about such a thing unless if you're just that ungrateful of a person or if you're really in that bad of a relationship. But I would like to think that even in the bad moments of a relationship, if you have someone who meets those attributes, if those attributes are actually worthy enough, and they're actually like something that you've introspected about and gotten deep about, then it's very difficult, in my opinion, to meet somebody else. And no matter what type of attraction that you might have initially or whatever, you cannot go too far and think like, oh, my life would have been better with this person, because you're so now attached to the person that you're with. And I think that's where you really start to be like, yeah, this is the one. So a really big thing is being able to grow together. You have to have a partner who has a mindset of growth. You should be a partner who has a mindset of growth. Whatever that you're asking for in your partner, try to also demonstrate and model that in yourself, even before you meet that partner, even before you get with that partner. I think these are, once again, really big things, because you never want to be asking for what you're not already dishing out. And if you're not already having a growth mindset, imagine if your partner starts to grow, which, if they are growing in a rapid rate, then they're going to start tugging on you to grow too, because that's what a relationship is. Two people who are also growing together. They're learning to adjust to each other and adapt to each other in a certain way or certain form. And if you are not able to meet your partner with that type of growth, if y'all are not constantly exchanging what you guys are like learning, like, if there's been, for example, like a religious change of some sort, like if you're not really keeping up with all of this, then you could actually end up in a very bad situation where your partner has now outgrown you. They probably did love you and they probably still love you, but now, because they've left you behind so far, you're kind of holding them back, and now they have to choose between themselves and you. Same thing could even be with you and that partner. So that's why it's best to always make sure that you're not only choosing a partner who has a growth mindset, but also a partner who's able to actually communicate with you so that you can share all of the things that you're learning and that they're able to grow with you. Even if you two don't always agree on everything, they can at least see where you're coming from. They see enough of your heart to be able to accept it, and they love you at your core, which is why those attributes should hopefully continue to be your foundation. That way, as you continue to grow, as you continue to become different people almost, but not really, because your center is still always going to be the same, the core is still always going to be the same, then your partner or you will be able to see that in that partner. And once again, I think that that's huge for being able to identify the one. So, all in all, I personally don't believe that there is one person that we can romantically be compatible with in a way that would make for a great marriage or partnership, things of that nature. But I do believe that if you choose someone who meets a certain list of attributes that you have really taken the time to curate and make that list of, then as you commit to that person and you believe strongly that that person is the one for you, as they also hopefully do the same, then there's no way that you two will be able to break apart. I heard a couple one time on TV. They were asked like, yeah, like you two are just so strong and you guys have been married for, I think it was 50 years. It's like, tell us, how did you guys do it? And then one of the partners said, honestly, we just never wanted to get a divorce at the same time. And there's some truth to that. The relationships are hard. Friendships are hard even. So especially if you're bringing a romantic relationship in, that's going to be difficult. And I think that once you have those kind of hardships that you're going through, yeah, you either have to rely on your commitment or you're going to break apart. And sometimes it just takes one partner being like, no, I'm committed to this and we're going to work this out, for the other partner to be like, oh, shoot, that's actually kind of hot. And like, I like this. Yeah, I don't want to abandon this either. We're going to work through this together. And then once you've worked through it together, there's almost like a, wow, we really did that, And then you guys just grow closer after that. So I feel like having that type of commitment to each other based off of those attributes that you've written down on your list, and then believing that that person is your person, is pretty much the perfect formula for having the one. And the last thing that I want to include, which I really think plays a huge part in all of this, is don't just look for romantic compatibility, but look for logistics as well. You might like someone, but if their lifestyle doesn't really suit yours, be careful of that. Because this might be someone who's like, yeah, I really love you, all of that, but you don't want to have kids. Or yeah, I really love you, but I am really like going after my music career, and you really hate music. you don't like being on the road, or like, you don't really support me wanting to work with other artists in this way and being gone for months and whatever it might be, So these types of logistics are things that I really believe that we should all take the time to consider, because then it could also cut down like your decisions. Like, okay, let me not invest and start falling for somebody who's not going to be logistically compatible with me because they don't want to move away from their family, or maybe they do want to stay with their family. I mean, maybe they don't want to stay with their family, but I still want to stay in this town, or whatever it might be. These are all important things to incorporate into your decision making for your relationship. So, what are your thoughts? If you have any tips, definitely let me know in the comments below. If you want to talk deeper about all of this, I offer coaching. So you can check me out at denzelmensah.com. I offer relationship coaching. We can talk both, with you two as partners and see where that goes, or we can talk to even just like one of you. And yeah, if you really enjoyed this, then make sure to share it with a friend as well who might be able to benefit from that. But I'm looking forward to hearing y'all's comments, questions, concerns, and don't forget, you matter. Done. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. And if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. It actually really helps out my channel a lot, so that more people who actually care about what I want to say can actually find me a lot more easier. Also, if you did enjoy it, then maybe you'll enjoy a lot of my other content as well. So be sure to check out some of my playlists where you'll be able to find a lot of my older videos and older content. And last but not least, if you would like any profiling sessions or coaching sessions, be sure to check out denzelmensah.com, where you'll be able to book me and you'll see the rest of my services. But thanks again and have a great day.